This interview is brought to you by the Pro Fight Shop in Hollywood, Radio Rahim with Andre Ward. You know, Andre, now when I interview, I got to talk to you not only as a fighter, but as an analyst. So obviously we're here at the post-fight for Rios Alvarado in a tremendous war. You weren't calling the fight from ringside, but were you calling the fight from ringside? What do you think was the main element that changed the outcome this time?
I think it was the subtle adjustments and the little things that Alvarado changed in his game. I mean, if you watch him, he had a tight defense along the ropes. He never really stopped along the ropes until he got Rios back into the center of the ring. And I think just that one adjustment right there was a difference tonight because he gave up a lot of big shots along the ropes. Rios needs your feet still. He needs you in place where he can really do his best work. And I just think, you know, Alvarado just did enough in his game tonight to get his hand raised, and I'm happy he got the win because I think he deserved it.
Now, after the fight, Rios interrupted the interview. Bob's talking about a third fight. But being a fighter and seeing the kind of punishment that both fighters took in both fights, do you think a third fight is wise, and how soon should a fight like that take place again?
It depends on what you mean by wise. Is it wise from a business standpoint, or is it wise physically? Physically, no. These guys were not even here at the post-fight press conference, and that's the reality of our sport. They're in the hospital right now. So I'm sure they're going to get a great rating. It was great for boxing as a whole, but the reality is, they both took a lot of punishment tonight. And I don't think a third fight will be any different. So if they fight, I'll watch it. But, from a personal standpoint and knowing as a fighter, I wouldn't recommend it. But, again, if these guys want it, you got to give it to them.
Now, in your career, you've been fortunate, at least as far as I know. You've never missed a post-fight press conference. You've always managed to show up and looking good. For you, you had to overcome injury that happened outside the ring as far as, competition goes. So still in the rehab and having to wait to fight again and having a fight scheduled and that fight being canceled, having to deal with that for the first time, especially at the level you are now where people are talking about you as pound-for-pound best, how challenging was that mentally, and how eager are you to get back in there?
Well, it's been very difficult. Tough time for me coming off of a big win against Chad Dawson and then this happening. But these things happen in the sport. They happen in life. And, I've just been staying focused on God, man, and keeping my eyes on him because that's what's getting me through this. My church family's been great. My family, my immediate family's been great, just helping me to stay focused in the midst of this. And I've just been trying to use this time, man, to just rededicate myself to my diet and even my conditioning and different things like that because it's easy to get lazy right now. But when I get the green light from my shoulder, which should be in the next couple months to really it's 4 weeks away. The beginning of May 1st, I can go and hit bags, hit mitts, and really start training. I want my conditioning to be up to par with where my shoulder is. So I've been very dedicated, and these things I think can make you or break you. And I think this situation is going to make me better than I was physically, my game, and just my hunger, and just all around than I was before I left.
Now, you haven't been able to get into the ring, but you did get into a little fight in your off time here. Talk to me about this Floyd Mayweather dust-up. How did that happen? And did you ever anticipate him challenging you or calling you out like that, disrespecting you in the way that he ultimately did?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I didn't pay much attention to what he said about the Bible and about Christianity because, honestly, he doesn't know about that. So he was wrong in what he said about that. And I thank God that he didn't disqualify me because I have a tattoo. I'm thankful for that. On top of that, I stand by what I said. I said I'm going to support my friend. I never said anything derogative or wrong against Floyd. I actually said before I said that comment, I actually said, man, I respect Floyd, my hat off to Floyd. But in this fight, I'm going to support my friend. And what Floyd has to understand is I've been more than a fan over the years. I've been a supporter. And, I come down to his training camps, I watch him, I support him. And it's just unfortunate, man, because a guy at Floyd's level doesn't have to go there. If he had a problem with me, he could have picked up the phone, like I said, through the media, and we could have talked about it. But it's just interesting to see that kind of stuff. But it didn't surprise me. I understand, and you move on from there. But, I stand by it. It's a great opportunity for Robert, man. And this guy's a multi-divisional champion. And he's just now getting his just due. So I understand that grind. And really, if Floyd would think back, he should understand it too. Because I've been in these arenas when he fought Castillo. I've been in the arena in Fresno when he fought the Dominican kid and nobody was there. And I remember saying, man, this guy's world champion, and nobody's watching his fights. So he should remember those times, you know. And unfortunately, man, when guys get to a certain level, sometimes they forget about those times. But it kind of is what it is at this point.
You know, no one's surprised that Floyd attacks another fighter, especially one who's being considered pound for pound, when obviously that's a position Floyd feels he should hold by himself. But it was a little surprising that he would attack you on the religious side. Your nickname is Son of God. Obviously, you've mentioned your religion a couple times even in this interview. How do you feel like that affects, first of all, your fans? Why is that so up front and out front for you? And what kind of response do you get? It's obviously not all positive. What kind of negative response do you get from that?
Well, I'm going to just say this. You know, it's interesting to me because, you know, people can get on TV and they can say whatever they want to say. They can do whatever they want to do, and that's accepted. But when a person says God or Jesus or they talk about their relationship with God, all of a sudden it's offensive. But what people have to understand is some of the other stuff is offensive to other people. And I'm not obnoxious with my faith, but you have to understand that my relationship with God, I'm not throwing it in anybody's face. That's my story. And that's how I got to this point and overcame tough times in my life, and I'm able to stand up and deal with some of the things I deal with to this day. So that's my story. Some like it, some don't, but that comes with the territory. But I feel if guys can get on TV and cuss and act crazy and do certain things, and you ask me, how did you do that? I can say, man, I thank God for giving me the strength to do it. If that's offensive, then I don't know what to tell you.
You know, I have to say that you were quoted as saying you were willing to come down to 160 to face Mayweather. Now, in that moment, for as cool as you are and as, you know, rare as I see you upset, did he hook you?
I mean, this is the thing. You know, I don't want to take away from the fight with Guerrero. This is not about me and Floyd from that standpoint. I said what I said and I meant what I said. But I know, you know, everybody knows that'll never happen. What happened was it was a response to a reporter asking me and kind of inquiring about the fight, and I made the comment. It was put on the headline, and I further cleared that up on FightHype.com. But to be honest with you, it's not even anything to talk about because it won't happen. You know, if he didn't have this fight with Guerrero and it was a situation where he was looking for a middleweight, then it would be something I would probably talk about. But I have nothing negative or derogative to say about Floyd. I still respect Floyd. Floyd has helped mold my style, you know, over the years. And, you know, I have nothing but respect for Floyd. You know, he feels the way he feels. And at the end of the day, man, you know, it's okay.
Well, if that fight's not going to happen, and I agree, it probably never will, what fight should happen, given your druthers? Last question, what fight would you love to be stepping in the ring next after all this wait time? Who do you want to face?
Well, I mean, I think we're a month away from talking about that. You know, we are talking about some names and trying to figure some things out behind the scenes, and obviously it was a big dust up with, you know, the whole situation with the networks and different things like that. So that being said, I just want to finish the year strong. I want to have 2 fights this year, hopefully summertime and then the end of the year, November, December. And I think the first part of next year, and this is something that, you know, my team is talking about and I think the fans are clamoring about, I think me and Chavez Jr. is a fight on a Cinco de Mayo, Las Vegas, Texas, you name it. That's a fight that should happen. And I'm not calling Chavez out. He's a 60-pounder busting out of 160 coming to 68. If he comes to 68, we got to talk. And I think that's the fight the fans want to see. We're talking a lot about what the fans want to see. His fans are going to come out. My fans are going to come out. And that's a fight that I think would be a tremendous pay-per-view success.
Well, I'll just say this, Andre. If you did that fight on Cinco de Mayo, you'd be going head up against Floyd Mayweather. I'm sure that's just a coincidence.
Yeah, but I mean, no, I'm not trying to keep stuff stirred up with me and Floyd. If it is what it is, that's a fight that, like I said, on the Cinco de Mayo would make sense. But I think really any date next year would make sense for me and Chavez Jr. if he comes up to 68, which I believe he will. I think the fans would rather see that than him and Martinez again.
Thank you so much.